Hell, boys and girls. Weather report for Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. 20th, 2021. Does that mean something?
2021?
It doesn't. It probably doesn't, right? Doesn't mean shit.
Nah, it really doesn't.
Really. Just another day.
Just another day. Anyway, how about that Germania? Oh, before we get into that, AJ, if you're out there, Otangelo is banned on this channel. And anybody in chat, if you see Otangelo, you are not to time him out. You're to bring it to my attention so that I can ban him. Okay? No timeouts for Otangelo. You bring it to my attention and we ban his account. As many sock accounts as you detect. So AJ indicated that we still had Otangelo on the channel, but I don't think we have for at least 6 days, right? I don't think he's showing up.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. I mean,
no. So tomorrow will be 2021. Well, no, that's not so special, is it? Well,
it's 10/21/21. There's 2 21s in there, but
okay,
but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what AJ was referring to. I mean, I think Antangelo's made a few comments here and there over the past several days, whatever. But that's pretty much it. And
he's commented on some videos, and I blocked one of those, but I think you have to do those individually. But anyway, Otangelo is not welcome here. I just want to make that really clear. There are some people that aren't welcome here, and I just want them to stay the fuck away from me. You know. Which is, I think, a fair ask.
I don't know what that means.
You know who's welcome here? Chris Peacock, Andrew Cumming, Spooky Bad Hair, Harry Penis, and Ox, of course. We can't have this without Ox.
Yeah, I don't know what Ox's comment. I don't know what that means. He's got an X if I see him. So don't. Speed wants to ban him himself because then it's like a permanent thing.
Let Speed have the duty.
The pleasure, and that way it's like permanent, or at least until he decides otherwise.
You got to tag me, and that means I got to watch the YouTube comments so I can see my tag being, which is hard to do because I usually watch the StreamYard comments. I suppose I should. Oh, I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm so old and confused.
I don't expect Antangelo's to show up. I mean.
He's too embarrassed.
Possible, but yeah, he's well aware that he's not welcome here at the moment. So I don't expect him to be here. So,
yep. And Gerstreams, boy, that's another matter. I mean, that is just some serious shit. That he's gotten himself into, man.
I know. What a piece of shit. Oh
my God,
that girl. Yeah,
that girl. We've given him every opportunity. I think we've tried to make him better.
He's a Messi, isn't he?
Yep. It's just
we tried to heal the wound.
Yep.
But
I mean, you have to go for chemotherapy after you watch that show.
I know. He's even afraid to pop up in chat here. I think he's probably driving.
Ox is clarifying himself.
I see him. I'll put a big red X up. Okay, that'll help me.
All
yes.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
You're the man.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty.
That's why everybody likes Ox. He's the man.
Yep.
So Scott and I had a very interesting third conversation with Luke Bauer.
And very thought-provoking conversation.
Oh my God, that guy is intelligent.
Smart fella. Very.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to put two videos, one from about a month ago and this one today, up at the same Same time on Saturday, if I get them properly edited, I'm going to premiere them. And then he may actually show up on Saturday night at the Atheist, so everybody can roast a Christian.
Yeah,
He
that's
loves
the Christian guy, right? Yeah.
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 And I don't know why.
Do we know what variety of Christian he identifies himself with, or
I've never asked him that question.
Yeah,
he's a deep Christian. He's a deeply thoughtful one. That's for damn sure.
But definitely not a young
cool.
Earth, though, right? Not a yak. Definitely.
Oh hell no, no.
Yeah,
he's.
Yeah.
Now, do we know that for sure, or are we projecting that on him?
I know he's not young Earth for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know where he is on evolution or creation or. I would guess he'd be an older theist because his Christianity runs in a deeper vein than most people, I think. Primarily, I think when I first asked him, he indicated that it was the way the Bible was written and the amount of layers and layering that's in the Bible that intertwines with what he sees in life, and that it was compelling to him.
All right, there's a sock account. Whoever says, excuse me,
Uranus.
Why are you hating on me so much?
So you're saying Lucid Uranus is Danny's sock account?
I think it's just something. I don't know who it would be, but it's definitely.
Who knows who that is?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm guessing it's Titan Uranus, but.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
But it'll reveal itself if it's the man himself. He can't help it. So anyway, let's see. So Bread of Life, I think, is going to come back, but now her and Sel have been doing this thing called batting practice, which I think is about us. Is that the impression you're getting from this?
Yes. Yeah. Kind of. Yes, for sure. Yes. He's trying to coach her, basically, is what he's doing. But he also
so I would
said,
like
"Do not go back." I mean, he said, "Don't. You're not going to go back there, are you?" And he was, "Oh, Blue, don't." When he asked her, because she said, "Yes, I have no problem going there. I enjoy talking to the guys. It's a challenge and whatnot." That was her response, and he was like, "Oh, don't go back, don't." So. I don't know.
Yeah, I got a bunch of timestamps from last night from that video, particularly on fitness. There's some things on fitness, and then, I was just going to timestamp the stuff where there was science that I could counter, where we could have a scientific conversation. But Sel is just so full of it, and he just keeps it coming that you can't help but start talking about, personalities and his mind and everything else. So it's going to be a little hard for me to just keep on one track, but I would like Andrew to come in and talk to me. David is not roboting for me.
Yeah, he was roboting for me a little bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Your mic was dropping out a little bit.
Okay.
But that was about it. But anyway, so I don't know which way to go, I suppose. Well, this Gerstreams thing. Probably make a public announcement about this,
Yeah, maybe. Or do we need to consult with our lawyers first?
I don't know. But
if you think a medical practitioner of some sort.
If you think of this channel as a tall, beautiful building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very top, finely crafted. My cherished guests are on the top balcony of this building.
Yeah. Yes.
But now, if you get on the elevator and you go down a few floors, you're going to find Standing for Truth.
Right. Yeah.
And below him, you're going to find, a couple stories down, you're going to find Sel Cordova. And you go down another few floors, and there's Raw Matt the fruit bat, just hanging from a rafter.
That's right.
Right.
Sucking on air, trying to get nutrients from it.
Right. And then imagine you see, zip, you're going down. Then you see P. Mars.
Oh.
And then you see Darth Dawkins below that.
Okay.
Well, if you proceed downward another 10 floors, there's Otangelo.
I'm with you.
He's extra Benny Hill Band on this channel. Okay. But 24 is below that. And don't stop there. Keep going. Another couple hundred floors.
Uh-huh.
You'll see the dusty, discombobulated skeleton of Smokey Saint.
Right.
get some cobwebs in a corner. Super banned, super canceled. Smokey saying way down there, just his skeletons left, nothing else. Right. They keep going further. Okay, stop way down there, and you're gonna find a floor way down there, and on that floor, there's a door marked sub basement. You can't get there with the elevator. The elevator doesn't go that fucking far. Right.
Interesting.
That's where you're gonna find Germania.
Okay. He's way down there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The elevator doesn't even go down that far. So, and you know. I mean, Scott, it's too painful for me to talk about, you know?
I know some things are much harder to talk about.
I mean, yeah.
So many different levels of disappointment and disgust, but yeah.
And like, you know, the sub I mean, you get tired of painting sub on the basement, you know? I mean, you get tired of going further down.
And walking down the stairs really sucks. So you don't even want to go there, right? You don't go there at all because it's just the stairs are a killer, right?
Yeah, and I'm so wounded. I'm so, you know, you understand I have a kind of a delicate makeup. I am kind of a snowflake, and I'm just so fucking wounded, God. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah, it's just the kind of thing, the kind of sight that makes you want to avert your eyes.
Yep. We won't talk about it anymore. It's too painful.
I'm glad this is like getting off your chest, Speed.
Yeah.
I know you got to let loose. You got to let it go. You know.
You know, we all got together and had a private conversation for about what was it, 6, 8, 10 hours last night about this, trying to shore me up and make me feel better. And
that's right. It was tough to bring you back to back to your humanity.
Yeah, it's been a long road, but here we are. Oh yeah, I think Will Cade's skeleton, it's down there somewhere next to Smokey.
Yep.
But you know, it kind of squished up and it went away. So that's the way Will is.
Yep.
Jeez, I buried a lot of people in those basements.
It's a deep basement. It's a deep basement.
It's very deep. It's very deep.
I got a lot of room down there, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
It goes all the way down through the old city.
Yep. Anyway. Communities suck before Gerstreams. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The dumping ground of dumpster fires. I mean,
the bitterness is palpable here.
When you're done with your dumpster fire, you wheel your dumpster over there and you dump it into Gerstream.
Yeah. the
dumpster for dumpster fire.
Ashes and dying embers of old streams. You just dump them into Gross stream.
Exactly. I was hoping that this chat would get done, but I'm probably gonna have to cut it off. So, Andrew, are you gonna come in, or he's still on?
Andrew,
there?
Can you come on in and join us? We wanted to talk to you about recent experiences.
Your experience. So, Andrew got crap as much as I did last night. So, you know, Rebekah, bless her heart, she actually got Sel to call me Mike. Did you hear that?
Very interesting.
Yeah, he hasn't called me anything other than he who shall not be named or whatever. And she actually got him to call me Mike. He is always answering this channel or advertising this channel because he'll say, you know, there are no answers in atheism. I think the name of my channel really irritates him. And it was kind of cool because last night he said, yeah, I don't watch that channel. I never watch that channel. I just go over there to see how many subs he's got because he's reveling in that, you know, him having more subs than me. He has been ever since he passed me up with his McLean Bible College. But, you know, if I went to the city council in Bloomington here and I went in there and ripped my mask off and started pulling a Karen on him, I'm pretty sure, and told him I had a YouTube channel where I covered, the evil ways of the Bloomington City Council, I'm pretty sure I could get another 1,000 subs here in Bloomington. I don't. Did you catch my reference there? I hope you caught my reference.
That was a great reference, but I was trying to read Jefferson's chat there.
Well, I wasn't getting a fucking thing from you guys.
Sorry,
Andrew.
man. Sorry, man. You depend on us to boost you up, and here we let you down.
I know. So soon after what Gurr did to me.
Yeah. Grr. You're causing a rift in the community, man.
So, Andrew, how did you like your treatment last night on Cell's channel? What'd you think?
Kind of felt a little betrayed, to be honest. Teensy bit.
Yeah. I kind of thought he was madder at you than I thought he had been. I mean, I thought you were like a welcome member on his channel.
Yeah, I thought so too. But, yeah.
But it happens real fast with Cell. If the tables turn, I think they turn fast and they turn hard. I don't know if that's what's going on with you, but it'd be interesting to find out. So,
I'm laughing at the same thing you are, I think, Scott.
Muchy?
Yes, that. Yes.
That's got to be Peter.
Yeah, probably. Anyway.
I could be wrong. I probably am.
Yeah. So how long did you stay on chat? Were you in there till the very bitter end?
Let's see. How long did it go on for?
Hour and 49 minutes.
Maybe at least the hour mark, maybe a little before then. Not sure, to be honest.
Okay, you weren't on there till the very end.
No.
Were you on there for their talk about fitness?
Some of it, yeah.
Okay. What did you think?
On the thing about fitness?
Yeah. I think he's really confused about what fitness means and what fitness means to population geneticists. And it's interesting, but okay. So a bunch of mathematicians around 1930, 1920 maybe got together, or between 1930 and 1950, and they started to model populations and modeling Mendelian genetics and things like that. And they have a number. I think they use a W and a W bar, and they chose to call it fitness. Okay, they picked this name, and because of that name, there's a whole lot of misunderstanding going on. But it's just a variable, and the variable is the number of offspring that you put into the future, right? So if you use absolute fitness, then you might have, say you got a bunny, a blue bunny, like Cell showed on his thing, and the blue bunny will have 10 offspring on average. And the red bunny will have 2 offspring, and the white bunny will have 4 offspring. Well, then the W values for each of those kinds of bunny basically is what they call fitness. But you want to think, instead of fitness, every time you hear fitness, you want to hear W, because it's a variable, because it doesn't really exactly translate to something real. It's about modeling a population. Does that make sense, Andrew?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's correct. Yeah, I mean, like,
so
normally it's not just. Oh, go ahead.
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because it's not just based on reproductive success. It's also based on reproductive success applying or founded upon the traits an organism has within that environment relative, or maybe I'm talking about relative fitness here. Yeah. Well, like what you said about absolute fitness, for example. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But it's kind of it's a real strong reduction. It's how they figure out what populations will do over time, so they can run a mathematical model on it. And then now relative fitness would be if you took the 10 bunnies and you divided it by 10 and you come up with the number 1. Now you take the one that has 2 bunnies and you divide it by 10 and you come up with the number 0.2. That's relative fitness. So relative fitness is when you pick one kind of bunny and you hold that constant and you assign that a number of 1, right? All the other fitnesses you got to divide, to make them less fit than the number 1 bunny, which is the most fit, right?
Right, fitness compared to other members of the population.
Right. Yeah, and that's called relative fitness, and they put a little bar over it for W, W bar or whatever. Right. And or no, wait a minute, is it absolute fitness as W bar? I can't remember which one, but anyway,
you should look it up.
Yeah, I probably should, but I'm not gonna. But anyway, so it's all about mathematics and modeling what populations do, all other things being equal. It isn't meant that cells spend so much time trying to say, oh no, what if the bunny dies, or a rock drops on the bunny, or what if the bunny has wings and one bunny is a faster flyer than the other bunny, and the wings are more well engineered. So he tries to make this case for fitness being more complex, better engineered, right? And that's
Wait, say that argument again? That doesn't make much sense.
Okay, he wants to tie it to engineering perfection. He wants to tie it to design.
Right.
So he wants to say fitness is the best designed bunny ever.
Yep.
The bunny with the smoothest fur, the prettiest eyes.
Yep.
The bunny that can slip in and out of holes.
Again, best compared to what exactly? What's the reference we're using here? That
he doesn't have one. He
right, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't have one. He's comparing it to engineering marvels that humans have done. Like in a little later on in the video, he shows a picture of a bird and a picture of a plane. And I'm looking at those two things and I'm thinking this fucking plane is going to kick that bird's ass. But anyway, but if you look at fuel consumption, the bird probably kicks the plane's ass.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Can you highlight? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that's a really good summary of it. Can Walker come in here? I think he'd be a real help today.
Yeah.
Oh, if you could, can you come in?
Please, Walker. We need you.
I got to invite him. I'm going to invite him by mail.
Yeah, send him an email.
Because we're not putting the stream out yet. Oh, there you go, Walker. I forgot to invite you. But anyway, that if you watch the part that he did on fitness, but there are some other parts here that we should probably get into a little bit.
Well, because I thought, didn't he have a discussion or Dr. Dan went over the paper he did, right?
Yeah, I think I watched about half of that or most of it. And I don't know how it turned out. I kept getting distracted. Did you watch the whole thing?
I didn't see most of it.
Did Dr. Dan get anywhere with him?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So anyway, the name of this is Rebekah talks about her interactions on Saturday night at a Notorious channel. She was on there Saturday morning, not Saturday night. So I was confused by that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
the case of antagonistic
me too.
polytropy.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but what we're talking about, Walker, is just kind of the basic misunderstanding of like Fisher's fundamental theorem and the early mathematicians and what they were doing with Pop Gen. And they called it fitness, but it was what they really should have said is it's a variable called W. But they wanted to relate to average people and kind of give an idea of, what would be fitness, because the thing that affects a population most is going to be the survivability and the offspring, right? So, no, the offspring, only the offspring. It doesn't matter. Right. Like, for instance, if cancer...
Sorry, go ahead.
If cancer is a thing in humans, it doesn't matter. Or like prostate cancer or something like that, things that affect people that are beyond their reproductive age is not going to have any effect on the population.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I like to think of it as rather than just individuals, I guess, giving birth to other individuals, you can sort of think about it in terms of just a lineage and how far that lineage continues onward and what directions quote unquote it takes and stuff like that, but not necessarily
Yeah, now the thing to
in
keep in
terms of
mind,
genotype or phenotype, for example.
the thing to really clear this up for everybody, even people that study evolution kind of get it wrong, is that this is about modeling versus what really happens. Now, what really happens is the whole of the theory of evolution, and we're still writing that theory. We're still working out all of the intricacies of what happened. And what we have here on Earth today is a wild diversity of life that is just a very small fraction of the diversity of life that has been on the Earth overall for the last 4 billion years, right? 99% of everything went extinct. A lot of those things that went extinct may well have had just wonderful engineering principles behind them. I mean, they look like they were just engineered really well, and then a fucking meteor landed on them and they went extinct. Or something else happened, or it turned out that they could do something in an environment and the environment disappeared.
Right.
And
it's a matter of perspective going down the nodes of the tree of life.
Right. Yeah. And the thing we're looking for, we're not looking at fitness and saying that is going to prove the theory of evolution if we run a model, on some simple parameters and make a simple function that goes from genotype to phenotype. Right. We're not going to prove evolution using that, and no one ever intended to.
Right.
That isn't the point.
It's trying to model it, yeah.
Trying to model
also,
it.
Hey, call me emo. Welcome to the live chat.
Yeah, that's a good comment. That and that probably would be true with Sal. Who knows? I don't know.
I miss that comment.
He definitely has a weird understanding of it.
Well, again, this gets into the idea of like, how do you compare complexity? Yeah. How do you compare the ladders of perfection kind of thing? Okay. Because the only thing that really matters is just reproduction, essentially.
This is exactly it. Now, Sel would say, "Oh, the snakes lost legs," and Rebekah would agree with him. Yeah, they become less complex because they lost legs.
Plus, there's that theological disposition against snakes, I guess. You're already biased against them, so they would be less fit. Although they're a very fit species.
Well, here's another crucial thing, because by that definition of gaining or losing features, snakes have actually become more complex in other areas due to like
slithering.
Gaining venom or gaining big expandable jaw ligaments and things like that. So yeah, it's all relative.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
And he's okay. So and this is where I'm going to cross over and get into personalities a little bit, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to look into you have to look into what makes a person tick when you cannot agree with them using reason alone. You have to wonder at what you're doing. But Sel has made several comments on his streams that indicate to me that something else is going on. And let me see. I think but let me play this curious thing that he has said a couple of times, and he kind of says it more clearly here. I think this is it. And why?
Just real quick, if I can say something, totally.
Hey, Walker.
Hey, Walker.
Wait. 1 sec, sorry.
No problem, man. I'm glad you can make it.
Sorry.
I thought you were out or something.
Yeah, we thought you were gone. We thought you were banned on this channel like Gur streams.
Yeah, in all seriousness.
Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry. If you asked any question, I didn't hear anything. I kind of have a jank setup right now because I'm in my lab.
Oh, I was just asking, like, we thought you were gone or something.
Yeah, we thought you were banned.
So like I said, I'm in my lab. I actually went into the meeting room, and I'm using one of my Bluetooth earbuds to connect, so I can't. It's a little jank. That's fine. It's all good. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
Of course. But have you listened to Sel's misunderstanding of fitness, and it kind of ties into his paper?
So the thing is, I haven't had time to read his chapter yet. I've heard his conversation with Dan, and I thought that was like a fair conversation and stuff. I don't know how his representation and presentation changes when he's around a more friendly audience.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yep. It does quite a bit. I mean, he does this with Rebekah pretty well. Maybe he was a little more sane with when he talked to Dr. Dan. I've had conversations with him, and I was to the point. You remember the beginning of our falling out was when he started putting out this clip of me saying that humans could be getting dumber and we may lose our minds entirely. And he put out this clip on Standing for Truth's channel, and he played it about 10 times. If you go back and look at the context, what I was trying to tell Cell is that it isn't about engineering perfection or complexity, that it is about whatever works in the environment. That's good. That's the thing. If you put bacteria in a flask and you give them a very solid and strict environment, like there was this one experiment where they took the first flask, they allowed, I think, 2 hours to breed. And the second, and I think the second time they lowered the amount of time that they had to regenerate before they, I don't know how, do you know what I'm talking about, Walker? They kept lowering the time to the time that they had to replicate and reproduce. And they kept cutting out the ones that didn't make it fast enough. And what they ended up with is a bacteria with a very small genome because it reproduced faster. And the bacteria also had developed some traits where it would reproduce quicker, where it could replicate its genome faster, grow the cell and divide it very quickly. And so, but it lowered the complexity and the size of the genome, and Cell keeps saying, oh no, that's going the wrong way. No, it's going exactly the right way for that particular environment, which was something that the researchers produced artificially, right? They imposed this artificial environment on a bacteria. And if you do that over and over again, it is going to shape itself to that environment, whether it becomes simpler or more complex or not. Whatever makes it reproduce faster is going to be what ends up in that environment.
Yeah, I'm not sure how useful that functional definition of fitness that they try to use is. Just because one, like functionality is obviously like context dependent. It's dependent on like what environment you're in. And then also, if let's say that we live in a universe where, functionality of a cell can only ever decrease or something. The cell still wouldn't go extinct, right? Because there would be reproductive selection on it, so that it would have the functionality of the cell, quote unquote, would float around a certain threshold, where below that threshold the cell wouldn't be able to function as a cell and it would die and not pass on.
Because it wouldn't be viable.
Yeah. And so using that definition, it still brings you back to reproduction, reproducibility, inheritance, stuff like that. So it's just not very useful, in my opinion. It has no real application in the current paradigms of genetics. Huh?
Oh, sorry. Did you happen to catch what Speed and I were saying about absolute versus relative fitness earlier?
I think I might have come in on the tail end of that because y'all were talking about like mean fitness and stuff like that. Like
well, in that case, would you maybe be able to give the distinction between them maybe a little better than we can?
I mean,
okay, the distinction between absolute and relative fitness is when you fix one number to 1 and you divide everything else. It's a mathematical thing. It's nothing else. It's not anything to get hung up on. And absolute fitness is going to be W, or W bar. Is it W bar, Walker? Did they use W bar for absolute?
W bar is mean fitness.
Okay, that's mean fitness. Okay.
Yeah, I think honestly, relative fitness and absolute fitness are probably both just W, because absolute fitness isn't used very often. But I might be totally wrong there, because absolute fitness isn't used very often.
Yeah, they usually set one trait to 1 and calculate everything else off of that. But anyway, my point on
One
fitness is
genotype.
that
Yeah.
we should quit using the word fitness because it's confusing people, and start using a mathematical variable because it's about population genetics. And when you're talking about fitness, everything gets sort of teleological. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think we go off the rails.
I
When
think
you start
another
talking
thing
about
is, what was that?
what? Oh, I just said it gets teleological when you start talking about fitness.
Yeah, and like when you start talking about fitness to an audience, right? To a diverse group of people, they're automatically going to start thinking about the fastest bunny, and they're going to think about design, and that's kind of what Cell's doing. He's thinking about this teleological fitness, that it's going to shoot for the most complex, the most performant, or whatever in an environment.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that's incorrect with at least what I know about fitness, right? So, as I was saying, Fisher's fundamental theorem states this, but there's other equations that essentially get you to the same idea. But traits themselves do not optimize, only fitness optimizes. And you're only going to have a trait that optimizes if the correlation of that trait to fitness is 1-to-1. If you have any correlation of that trait to fitness that does not equal 1, like any sort of covariance of that fitness and or covariance of that trait and fitness that is not equal to 1, then that trait will not optimize. And like I said, an obvious example of that would be antagonistic pleiotropy, where you might have a trait that's beneficial for one thing in a certain context and detrimental in another context. And it will reach like this sort of mean peak where it's optimizing fitness, but not necessarily the trait. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of seems a little
sickle cell
obvious.
gene be an example?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Sickle cell is definitely like that, right? So you're optimizing the fitness in a given context, but when you remove that context, the fitness provided by that trait is different.
Right.
Yeah, and then you've got diploidy comes into play with sickle cell, because if you're homozygous for that sickle cell trait, you got a dead organism. And but if you're heterozygous, you've got a fighting chance, and so it ends up being that way in the population.
There's actually some really interesting case studies with like hemoglobin genes and stuff like that. Like, did y'all know that there's a hemoglobin gene? It's hemoglobin C, or like hemoglobin beta C or something like that, which is a different allele for the same gene. And it provides malarial resistance in its homozygous state, but it does not convey that resistance in its heterozygous it doesn't convey that resistance in its heterozygous state. And the allelic frequency in most populations for that gene is so low that it actually can't get over the selection threshold to beat the S allele, which is the sickle cell allele, which is really funny because it's talking like you're kind of stuck on a local optimum of fitness there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the point that overall should be clarified and emphasized is that fitness, like you said, Speed, instead of calling it fitness, or instead of emphasizing the physical aspects of it, it should be about which organisms produce more offspring, are more reproductively successful relative to the other members of the population.
Yeah, but that depends on what your interest is. What you're doing exactly. If you're modeling mathematically, you're going to be doing one thing. If you're testing stuff in a lab, you're going to be doing something a whole lot more complex than that. And you're definitely not going to be looking at just one trait, and you're not going to be looking at one. You're going to be looking at sexual selection. You're going to be looking at possible kin selection, which is not a popular. Is that still unpopular, Walker? Kin selection?
Kin selection?
Yeah.
As far as I know, kin selection's pretty chill. Like I don't think people dislike kin selection.
No, it's really gotten hammered. Like about 20 years ago, I think it was almost a dirty word. you couldn't say it in
Yeah,
public.
I think it's reasonably more accepted now, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I
Yeah, it
mean,
always made sense to
people
me.
talked about it in classes that I'm in, so I'm assuming it's
Yeah.
still. Like,
Anyway, so they use sometimes capital W for absolute and lowercase w for relative fitness, but it has something
That
to do
makes
with selection S is selection coefficient,
Mhm.
which generally has different meanings, but is closely related to most uses of W. I don't know. Anyway, but the thing is, we have to separate our mathematical modeling from, like we're not going to use mathematical modeling to prove evolution. In fact, that's not really what we're trying to do, is it? We're trying to understand evolution. We're not trying to prove anything. I don't know. Maybe,
well,
yeah,
I don't
maybe.
think. I mean, science isn't in the business of proving things, anyways. I would say.
Right.
But in as much as it is, I think math is the only way that you can quantify support for a given hypothesis over another, right?
Oh, yeah.
So things like probabilities and predictability and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
so population genetics and like theoretical biology, quote unquote, is what's going to derive your predictions. Obviously, they're not always going to pan out because the real world's relatively complex, and like, even all of the equations that we use for calculating certain things like fitness typically allow wiggle room for certain things like environmental variance, right?
Yeah.
And I thought
just because you can't control for that. Huh?
And I thought phylogenetics was complex with the tip of the iceberg I'm scratching right now.
Oh, phylogenetics is pretty complex, but right now we're talking about species processes, which are oftentimes treated separately.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Population
phylogenetics is cool. I have a guy in my lab is working on combined evidence where he uses species processes and population genetics to predict hemiplasia across tree branches, basically to help macroevolutionary analysis, which I think is really cool.
Wait, you mean hemiplasia or homoplasia?
Hemiplasia. So hemiplasia is when certain things, like we could say an allele, it's probably most obvious with an allele. It's when an allele is related to another allele through ancestry, but that allele does not represent the species tree, right? So certain things like incomplete lineage sorting would be hemiplasia. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play a few things, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
I thought this was interesting.
Really is not necessarily the funnest kind of YouTubes where I know I'm bored talking about certain things in organic chemistry, and I know the audience is, and it's like after this, it's like this was really exhausting for both sides. But talking about, I mean, you still glorify God in the process, but you don't feel that kind of uplifting feeling that you do when you just like when you hear a beautiful piece of music and you're just your soul is just kind of, you feel in a very worshipful mood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that I've studied biochemistry and I'm in that worshipful mood afterward. My colleague Emery Moyna, he said, Sal, while you were studying biochemistry and praising God for those systems, I was praying to God that I could make it through the class.
Okay. So what I thought was interesting about that is you got Emery Moyna, who's going to school and trying to get a master's in biology, right? And you got Sel trying to understand it. And when they talk about organic chemistry and biology as being boring and painful to get through and just horrible, I got to ask myself, I'm not like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. For me, it is like listening to music, reading molecular biology and understanding stuff. And I have, and I've never felt like, oh my God, I got to read this. Oh my God, I got to read this book on molecular biology. And if he feels that way, if the only thing he's trying to get out of this is trying to find evidence for his God and for his intelligent design, then he's missing a whole lot of the beauty and the wonder of, learning molecular biology and evolution. You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like, really? That's how you feel about doing these videos? Why are you doing them? Why are you doing this?
To be totally fair, a lot of the reasons, like early Enlightenment period scientists began studying nature was so that they could learn about God, so to speak. But I think I'm not going to accuse Mal of like any malicious intent, but it's definitely a thing for creationists to, like I said, I'm not specifically talking about Sal. It's definitely a thing for creationists to pursue degrees specifically so that they can use them as shields. Like Jeanson. Jeanson is the worst about this. He went to Harvard as a creationist specifically with the intention of getting a degree from Harvard so he could say he has a degree from Harvard whenever he was talking about creation science. Like, that's the only reason. He had a paragraph about that in like replacing Darwin or something like that.
And you think Sal is better somehow? I don't.
Well,
that's
I mean,
what I find.
I'm not prescribing intent either way.
Okay.
I would just, like, Sal has never specifically said that, whereas Jeanson has. So it's not me as like guessing about what he believes or not.
Yeah. I was kind of amazed actually because I thought Sal liked the field better than what that indicated. So I was kind of surprised last night, and I've heard like hints of this, and I just thought he was like burning out, but he kind of put it very clearly that, oh my God, we got to do this stuff. It's like, if you feel that way, what I've been trying to understand is like Rebekah says something in here somewhere along the line. I don't know. We'll find it eventually, I suppose, if we go through this video, but it indicates Rebekah thinks we're looking at the same evidence, and she expresses this frustration that she just can't get through to us, right? Because she feels like she's looking at the same evidence. And I've heard this over and over again, that we're both looking at the same evidence. And I just vehemently deny that we are looking at the same evidence. They are looking at part of the evidence, and we are looking at another part of the evidence. We're looking at a very, very different thing. People that believe in evolution, I think, have looked very seriously into mechanisms. Like I kind of had this discussion with Fazrano last night or yesterday, where I was trying to explain to him, what is it like if you just say God did it and you don't think any further? Like we were talking about how eukaryotes developed, right? And what I was trying to get at is, if you believe in advance that there's no way for it to happen physically, then you're not going to be so incentivized to go out and look for that physical mechanism, are you? I mean, don't you think that would be a block to somebody looking for mechanism? I mean, if you just believe it was magic.
I don't know. I mean, yes, if you say like, it was just magic and then be done with it, right? Like I said, I think that whole mentality is fairly recent, and it's very counterintuitive to like what original natural theologians would have said back like 300 or 400 years ago. Yeah.
Like, would you spend 6 hours poring over papers about how eukaryotes evolved if you felt in your heart of hearts that there's no way they could have evolved, and I know that aliens dumped them in the ocean? I mean, if that is my proof and belief, that's what I believe and I want to believe. I'm not likely to spend 6 hard hours digging through papers trying to find those little details about like, how in the hell did a nucleus evolve? And the other thing, and I haven't worked this out in detail yet, but one of the big things that Foz had talked about, and the very first thing I ever heard him say, is that the direction of exporting ATP is wrong for mitochondria. It exports it to the outside of the cell instead of using the gradient to bring it into the cell where it can use the energy. And so he talks about it as the anti-Porter problem. That, are you familiar with that, Walker? Where it has to be exported out of the cell in order for the rest of the cytoplasm and the cell to use the energy from mitochondria. Well, the thing about cell membranes is when you have something an exosome, basically a body that merges with the cell membrane and delivers its content to the outside of the cell, there is an automatic reversal of the cell membrane. So the inside becomes the outside. So the inside of the Golgi apparatus becomes the outside of the cell when it goes to the membrane. And that's just the way it works out geometrically. So it isn't too far to go from there to try to think what kind of phagocytosis would bring something in and reverse basically that polarity on that cell membrane. And now you got something that's pumping stuff out of the cell instead of into the cell. And I haven't worked that out in detail yet, but I think there's something there that's important for mitochondria. I don't know. Anyway.
Interesting.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't have too many comments because I'm very far removed from actual biology.
Okay. Oh. That's unfortunate. Anyway.
I don't know. I think studying things like macroevolutionary processes are even more interesting. Like mathematical modeling.
So you're doing pseudobiology? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, he's doing fake
No,
biology.
I prefer to call it theoretical biology.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We call it fake biology here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what all like the medical people call it. But
yeah. No, I think theoretical biology is amazing. You got to come on more and tell us more about what you're doing and what you're learning. I think that
I mean, it's mostly like phylogenetic modeling and comparative methods and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's see what kind of amusing things you got going here.
The thing of creationism is, if you're a creationist, you believe in intelligent design, but Christian creationism says that life is intelligently designed, but the world is also cursed. So you do have a lot of effects from the fall of man. So, guys, let me know if...
So how the hell do you study this whole field if you feel in your heart of hearts that all life is cursed? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, this timestamp here, I think I was actually going to ask you if this was where you, if you timestamp this part of it. Is this right where Rebekah starts talking about Adam and Eve and how, I forget how she worded it, that it's kind of like what Sal just said, that, the fall of man, don't forget that's part of the whatever, however he just described.
Whatever.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm coming to that part. So, did Andrew drop out already?
He said he had to
he said he
go
had
heavily in the chat.
Okay.
So when you're putting bugs and newts and things under a microscope, are you having to move all that curse out of the way so you can get to the biology? How does being cursed fit into science?
Do we remove the curse by like ancestral state reconstruction?
Maybe so.
Oh my God. I didn't mark it. I thought I marked it. High rank, garbage. Oh, right here. Okay, so this is what Andrew's talking about.
Paper in saying, how did this pass peer review? The thing is,
he's yelling at Andrew, by the way, in chat.
It would not pass the peer review of evolutionary biologists who are on the bottom of science's pecking order. It's garbage science, sir. Real science is physics, chemistry, not evolutionary biology. So, sorry.
Isn't that great?
That's an interesting take for sure.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting take. Yeah, I thought that was a good catch. And he says that at least one other time in this broadcast where he talks about how they are on the very lowest level, and all other scientists look down on evolutionary biologists as basically being the pseudoscience garbage that it is. So isn't that what you're doing, Walker, with your life?
Yeah. All of the modeling and stuff, it's not real.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that there's like there might be a perceived hierarchy to some people, But I think a couple of, like last time I was listening to the Weather Report, unfortunately, it was like a week or two ago. But Dessel Drace was talking about like science and like the rigorousness of science being more of a gradient than distinct categories of hard and soft and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
If we're talking about that gradient, then I guess physics is on one end and I don't know, like sociology or history is on the other. Evolutionary bio is probably somewhere in the middle. Yeah. But I mean, that doesn't make it less scientific. You're still applying scientific rigor to these problems. So, I think that whole idea of like a hierarchy is a very antiquated idea. Like, I don't think many people see it that way anymore.
Well, it might fit in terms of the kind of reduction you're doing. Like chemistry and physics is going to be very highly reductive, whereas geology is going to be a step up from quite a step up. In fact, geology is as complicated as life sometimes, as to how things, when you look into it, geology is really a complex subject, and there's no way that you're going to model geological systems any more than you can biological systems and come up with absolute perfect predictions, So,
yeah, for sure.
So physics and chemistry being real science, it's because they're extremely reductive. They're dealing with the purest of pure. And when you move up, when you go out and stick your spade into a chunk of earth, you are not dealing with purified chemicals anymore. That ship has sailed. So, which is kind of a weird charge because it seems like biology, evolutionary biology, and geology would be far richer and far more revered in their attempts at understanding complexity than physics and chemistry would be. I don't know. But that's just me. I think it's beautiful. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're reducing science to just physics or just chemistry or something like that, I think that's extremely reductive and it's not very useful.
Right. You kind of miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like human beings, for instance, you miss hugging your puppy or whatever, I don't know, hugging your kid or petting your puppy. Oh God. Did that just sound creepy?
Hugging your puppy?
Must have been in my head. Okay. I won't go there. I've been watching too much Netflix. Particularly Cake. I don't know if you guys have seen those little animations. Anyway, okay. So I got another part here. Let's see.
Explain for the audience what happened on Saturday, and tell us you got invited and what was it like?
Well, so for those who aren't aware, it's the channel Answers in Atheism, and I've gone on there a few times. I got pretty torn up there one time and I kind of felt stupid, but
I don't recall her getting torn up. I don't know what she's referring to. So I don't know why she felt bad about it. That must have been her first interaction. I don't know. But I apologize if that's how she felt.
They were asking questions that I didn't know the answer to, so I was just kind of like, not on my best game. But I would say, so last Saturday, they had me on to talk with Demeter, who is he a molecular biologist? Is that what his credentials are?
Yep.
He's some sort of biologist. Yeah. He's a medical researcher. So it would be in the molecular cellular realm if he's doing cancer research. So.
Yeah. So so basically, it was just their attempt to convince me that evolution is true and I should accept it.
I don't think that was our intent at all. I think our intent was to have a conversation. I didn't have any hope of convincing Rebekah that evolution was true. Doesn't it seem sort of like not quite what we're doing here? I don't know.
Well, it's the intent of creationists to convert people to Jesus. And I'm sure they see us in that same light as trying to persuade someone to come over to the dark side or whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, my personal intention a lot of the times is to convert people who are like creationists and stuff. But usually if I'm having a conversation with someone, it's not to like change that specific person's mind. Usually people who have a YouTube channel that is like dedicated to creationism and have been doing this thing for like 4 years, like you're not going to change their mind. It's more about who accidentally clicks on the video.
I felt more like we were going to have a conversation where we were going to try to come to a better understanding of why each of us believed what we believed. And
like
I
an
wanted
epistemological thing?
Kind of. Well, I wanted to show her my stuff and listen to what her stuff is and find out, why she believes what she believes and try to understand where the divide is. I didn't feel like I came in, like I drug her into my channel to browbeat her and turn her into completely change her idea on creationism. I mean, even though I guess, that is the rhetoric and that's the, the dialogue where you try to put up your best thing. I just thought it was kind of off that I didn't want her to feel that way. I certainly didn't want her to feel attacked. She's a very, very nice person. So
I just wonder if we took a poll, how many people would agree with this as a kind of a life, kind of a life orientation. I don't remember who said it. It's a quote, but it's seek first to understand and then to be understood. And I think that's what these kind of dialogues need to be like. Until I can reasonably give back to the other person an accurate statement of their viewpoint, then I have not earned the right to try to convince them of my viewpoint. And not necessarily earning the right for them, like psychologically, just I have not prepared myself to respond and to provide my particular point of view because I haven't shown that I've done the courtesy of doing the mental work of understanding them.
Yeah, and what she came in with and what I got out of what she told me is that her big stumbling block was how do organs evolve? And how organs evolve is probably, I mean, last night, every time I woke up, I was dreaming about how organs evolve, right? That's what I think about all the time. And so I'm like, oh boy, I can show her my stuff, right? So I tried to talk to her about, tried to explain, here's how they evolve, Rebekah. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to change her views entirely. I was just showing her my stuff. Like if somebody comes to you and they say, oh God, I saw this thing the other day and I don't know, I don't know how it happened, but you know how it happened. You get all excited and you say, oh, I can tell you how it happened. So that's how I saw the dialogue. I didn't see it as being confrontational. So I don't know, but I'm not sure. Let's see, we got about 10 minutes here and I'm not sure what happens. Got garbage science.
And I thought it went great. I was happy with it. I thought I crushed it, Sal. Did you watch any of it yet?
I haven't watched any of it. I'm not giving the guy any more views. Sorry.
Oh, well.
You know what I noticed? That since Sal went away, my analytics they just crashed. I mean, there was just a complete downturn. Like just without, with Sal leaving, it just wounded me so badly.
You joke, but honestly, like after Otangelo has disappeared,
yeah, I know.
The views have cut it like half.
Well, I still have 23 people watching, so.
No. I was just joking because Otangelo has like 50 alts.
Well, if I want a popular channel, I'll bring Darth Dawkins on. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I want to really
and then have a completely unproductive conversation,
right? A really, really popular channels. If I could bring on somebody like Ted Bundy or Charles Manson or some. Oh shit, they're all dead.
Yeah, if you can bring those dead guys on, that would be something.
Right.
You would get views.
I
would be very impressed.
Oh yeah. Or if I could bring my raccoons on, I would get 50,000 views instantly. But it ain't about views, and I guess that ain't why I'm doing it. I'm never going to make any money on this shit, and I really don't give a shit, about views and subs. So,
yeah.
Anyway, let's see what else.
You know what? I might make an exception just for you. and I have been cold turkey of that,
Oh,
watching
boy.
anything.
He's going
Now
to
that you
watch
said
my
you
channel.
performed well, I want to see how you
Well,
did.
I think I did. I did.
But by the way, you got to
I
let
didn't.
it would go on.
Do you think Rebekah crushed it with Demeter?
No.
Okay.
No, go
What's
ahead.
there to crush?
I want to say it would
was
mean
a
something to
dialogue,
me
right?
It was a dialogue, right? I don't know.
if I was any help at all in getting you ready for Saturday. So
Yeah. Well, now it's like I can't remember everything that happened. I do think we talked about some of the stuff that we had mentioned, but I honestly didn't have that much opportunity to talk. I feel like Demeter was talking more than I was. And actually the conversation started out much more like kind of his critique
Okay.
really every time I talk to someone who's trying to convince me about evolution, the main point that they're trying to make is that, hey, isn't this great? All of these changes, these mutations, they add up and eventually they, cause these, grand things within organisms. And my question is always really the same to them. And maybe I ask it in different ways, but it's like, you're telling me a mechanism that causes change that is usually neutral or negative, and very rarely ever allows for something positive within an organism according to our scientific observations. So but where's the mechanism that actually builds new structures within organisms? And so how does that happen? And and where do you get the information to begin with? Because you're talking about processes that change already existing information, but where does the information start with? Where do you get the information? And so Demeter spent some time.
Yeah, that's kind of the key point right there. How do organs develop?
So Walker, what is your synopsis? How would you reply to her in kind of a very tall, very long elevator pitch?
Well, I mean, just the whole idea of organs aren't appearing out of thin air. They're appearing based on pre-existing structures. You can walk this back to like the beginning of life. Very rarely does anything ever just have to like snap into existence. For I don't know, somewhat general example, like I was born with 4 tricep heads. It's a genetic thing that I inherited from my dad. It doesn't bother me at all. It just means that I can flex and I see a little division that most people don't have. If I was in an environment where having an extra tricep head was beneficial in some way, right? There's a way that it just developed. Like, I don't know. Like it's not about development of new organs necessarily. It's more about the change from underlying pre-existing structures.
So the hold on, the Lenski experiment showed a process build a nucleopore complex. I didn't. No, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not aware of that.
I don't think so. The only thing,
because there's no nucleus. So, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Raw Harlequin energy. You're referring to something. What is it? Viroporin? Okay, I'm going to look into that. But thank you. That was not on my radar. But anyway, the interesting thing is that she kept asking me for a paper that showed me an organ developing. Now, think about that as a scientist, Walker. How would you do a laboratory experiment, or how would you do the lab work on an new organ developing, a liver? I called it a shriver. So how would you do that?
That's fine. I don't think you can, just because mutations are random. I think the only way that you can study certain things like organ development is in retrospect.
Right.
Like you can't just like sit around in a lab and wait for a new organ to appear, because I mean, even if that does happen, it might take millions of years. Like we're not going to sit around and wait for the next new organ.
So her response would be, then all you got is stories, right? So, okay. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's more than stories, because we have all those small mechanisms that we know about, and we can look at extant species.
Yeah.
Like I did with the liver, and looked at the lancelet, and with the very, very, very rudimentary development of a liver-like thing on its small intestine, basically. I think it was. Anyway, but you start looking into the mechanisms, and you start going back, and of course, it's a story, and we don't know exactly how it happened, but I think we've got a whole lot of micro steps that we put together in the story. It isn't like we just made up a story from scratch.
Well, I think the important thing is just the fact that the underlying mechanisms are already there.
Right.
Like, has anyone ever seen a chemical reaction take place?
Right, exactly.
I would say probably not, but you can have starting chemicals and you can have an ending product, right?
Right.
And then certain things about the chemicals and certain just physical mechanisms that happen in our world, and sort of piece together like a stepwise reaction as to how it happened.
Yeah.
And you can test certain things like at certain steps, but you're still not going to be able to see these two molecules bumping into each other in exactly the right orientation with enough energy to where they combine. Right? You're just not going to see that.
So all of our science, including chemistry and physics, according to these people, is that it's just a story. Well, no, it's just a story that has produced the computers that we're talking on right now. I mean, so it's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I was frustrated with that. That's the point of frustration, when they won't take any evidence. They'll just say, "Oh, well, tell me what the whole thing is," and then you'll kind of sketch it out for them. They'll say, "Well, that's just a story. Tell me how it works," and then you start telling them how it works in these micro steps. And they don't want to listen to your micro steps. They don't give a shit. They're not interested. Like, oh no, it's impossible for that micro step. But if you look at the genome of one animal, and then if you went back and you got the genome of its ancestor 100 million years ago, the only thing you would see in between those two things is mutations. So they're almost saying that you can't, like, if you have a certain sequence of letters, and then you have a second sequence of letters, and you can convert one letter at a time, they're almost saying that you can't do that. That's impossible. Yeah. You can't convert one sequence to another, but you can.
At the risk of potentially being pedantic, if you go back in time and you got an exact ancestral sequence of some allele, you still wouldn't see the mutations. You would have two different genomes.
You would have to tell a story, right? You'd have to tell a story.
So you have to tell a story of how one gets to the next one still.
Yeah, but how one letter gets changed out for another. So
for sure. Yeah, I'm not contesting that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not contesting that part. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, and if you were to list every change one line at a time and say it out loud, they'd get pretty bored. But what you're telling them is, we know the mechanism. We know the story. It's like, I don't know. So kind of frustrating.
By the way, Speed, raw Harlequin energy is clarifying what she meant to say earlier.
Okay, let me see. What about lizards?
It's on the screen.
Nuclear port. She meant ion channel. Okay, yeah. Through the cell membrane. So I wrote it down. I'm going to look into it. Viroporin? Okay. Yeah, nuclear pore complex. That is a cool one. Actually. And Cell gets on about those too. But anyway. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? We got something at 23 that I marked. I don't know why.
And Andrew Cummings says, do you want me to give you a link? Yes, sure. We'll take a link. But I can already guarantee what that link is going to be. And it's going to be storytelling. So
there you go. So isn't that frustrating? She already knows what the link is going to be without looking at the link.
Yeah, and does she have anything other than narrative words to use? Because I don't think she would understand any symbolic system that had to do with genetics.
Can anyone else hear my cat snoring?
I can.
Stop it, Thor.
Oh, I can. I had to listen for it. Yeah.
I got to wake him up.
Once again, like, if you just dismiss something as storytelling, then you can't prove anything about anything. You can't prove anything about, like, history, right? How do you know George Washington exists? All of that's just storytelling.
You're gonna have a subject. Yes. You're gonna have an introductory paragraph. You're gonna have several paragraphs, just kind of either going through time or topic. and you'll have a conclusion. That kind of every explanatory network, every explanatory matrix is a combination of stories, unless you're using some sort of symbolic, where you say this symbol stands for populations, this symbol stands for fitness or whatever, and then you lay out this huge equation or something.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even that is storytelling because you're assuming you know how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think you can fully remove something like storytelling. Like I said, with George Washington, right? All you have are pieces of paper that say George Washington on them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have to weigh the probability of your hypothesis against the probability of other hypotheses. Well, I guess likelihood's probably better, but you have to weigh the likelihood of your hypothesis versus other hypotheses, right? And so the relative likelihood would imply that George Washington existed, just because that's a much easier and more well-supported conclusion than he was just fabricated by the Freemasons or something like that.
But
and science is in the business of quantifying that specifically.
If we had a link to Genesis 1 and 2, the would that be storytelling? Is that different than is there any? What is the difference, right? I mean, isn't the Bible kind of a story?
It's definitely starting out
for sure.
There's some equations up on the screen. Is that what Sal is saying that biology has to be? Is just a bunch of equations?
No, he's showing. I think he's showing part of his paper or the previous paper that Sanford and Basner did, or whatever. But I wanted you to hear this part, Walker, if you haven't heard it.
Okay.
The fundamental thing that we were trying to communicate is we said, what's the definition of fitness? And you'll hear this. And it's really stupid. And I can't believe that this went on for 100 years and they had the stupidest definition. Now, Dr. Dan will be on here sometimes and he'll say, that's the correct definition. And I'm just cringing. It's like, it's a useless definition. I'm not the only one. There have been people that are in the secular realm that said there's a problem with evolutionary biology in the way it defines something as adapted or fit. So why is a bird adapted to fly? Let's just take a simple example. Well, an engineer would say it's adapted to fly because it's light enough and it can generate enough lift that it is able to go up. Very simple. Whereas evolutionary biologists define adaptation, it's like, well, it's the organism that reproduced the most. So the bird is fit because the birds that happen to fly were the ones that were reproducing the most, and therefore they're fit to fly.
Okay, wait, Dannykins?
And what we did is...
Yeah, I think he's sort of conflating the idea of adaptation with the idea of fitness. Like the organism with the most adaptations for a given environment isn't necessarily the one that's most fit. You could have a niche that, would prefer some sort of generalist or something like that. And using his argument as bird wings, right? Not all birds can fly, so not all birds are fit, I guess, in the way that he wants to describe it. Penguins can't fly, but they're still very well adapted to their environment. And his idea of functionality can't explain that in the way that they just survived better that way.
What if you have a new trait, but you also have a new chemical composition so that your sperm or whatever else can cut through the fluid faster or whatever? Wouldn't that would be fitness? It would guarantee pregnancy from your from your trait difference, but it's not at all observable with the naked eye from the outside.
Yeah.
It would give you a reproductive advantage, but it doesn't make you the strongest, fastest, or whatever.
It just struck me, listening to this, that Cell doesn't have a clue what is going on here with this modeling and with the ideas of fitness and with adaptedness, and it surprised me. He doesn't seem to understand what's going on here, and it's really interesting. Now, he points to Lewontin and a few other people who have criticized the idea of fitness, right? And Lewontin's criticism of fitness, I think, come in like 4 parts. And he was basically saying, okay, but you got to look at sexual selection. You got to look at overlaps in lifespans, and you have to look at all of these other factors. And so Lewontin was criticizing some of the very early models, but Lewontin was not criticizing evolution.
I mean, the idea, the concept of fitness, with almost like anything else in science, right, is super reductionist. Right.
Yes.
There is, I would agree with Lewontin and Sal by extension stuff, that there's not a super clear, easy way to define and quantify fitness. But it's still like the way it's used in biology today is probably the best way. You know what I mean? Like if a new definition that comes out and is better and suits models better and is easier to use, like that kind of stuff, then we'd probably use that. But the thing is, like, ultimately your definitions and your equations are going to have to compromise for intelligibility. And when you start saying, what about, I don't know, overlapping generation times? What about this? What about that? What about this? Then you're certainly like creating 50 parameters that you have to like include in every single model that you do. And at that point, it's just not a viable like way to explain the world, because it's not very easy, or it's not easy to use, and it would be impossible, to make any sort of prediction.
A couple of years ago, I started developing a Python program to do just that. And I started putting in parameter after parameter, and I quit. I gave up, because even with that, I was just scratching the surface of what I would have to do in order to model a decent population. And now I want to do it again with, today's knowledge, and try it again and try to get control of my urge to model everything, right? Because and that's essentially what I was doing. I was doing overlapping generations. I was doing random ages and just a whole bunch of shit. And it just got out of hand very quickly. I mean, the thing is, like, I've got a model that works with RNA and peptide binding, right? And we run this model over and over again, and we know everything that went into this model, but we don't know what is going to come out of this model. We can't tell you, because it's going through 100 million cycles, through in this model, and we can't tell you how we got from point A to point B, because the model is just too goddamn complex, and it's not that complicated a model. So I mean, it's this idea that we can develop a model and figure out exactly what the causal chain was. It doesn't work that way. You end up getting a result, and you're like, holy shit, that's not what I expected. Anyway, I think maybe
Hey, Speed, did you see my text?
Oh, am I not paying attention to you, Scott? Am I being a bad friend?
Well, I wouldn't say a bad friend. I'm just saying, like, pay attention to your text when I send them.
I'm sorry, Scott. I wasn't looking at it. I know.
Meanwhile, Walker, there's a question from Andrew on the screen.
Yeah.
Your text is the same as saying, "Hey, Speed, did you know that the sun came up this morning?"
Yeah.
So I thought we'd shut this down for now, because we've gone too far on this one video, and maybe open up the room, because we got about a half an hour left.
Okay, I will put the link out there.
Okay.
For Andrew's question, I don't think so. I don't fully understand what he means. Like, if he means like the original definition back in the early 1900s, maybe. But I'm not.
Yeah, the simplest form. When Fisher did his work, he assumed an infinite population, and he assumed I don't know what else, but.
Well, I mean, there's simplifying assumptions that are often applied to population genetics models, but there's workarounds for them, especially from early population geneticists like Fisher, Haldane, stuff like that. So, like, the common assumptions would be things like random mating, infinite population size, no selection, no drift, right? And then at that point, you're like, okay, what if we allow selection? Okay, what if we allow drift? What if we allow non-random mating? What if we allow gene flow? And then slowly start like pulling back all the pieces.
Speed, how dare you?
Yep.
How dare you allow a dirty Dutchman in here?
How dare you start talking when someone else is talking? When you enter the room, it's not that is not a cue to just immediately to start talking. Midnight.
Peter
fuck
never
up.
does that.
I never do that.
Well, you love me, so I can do it.
I do, however, have beef with pretty much everyone in this room.
Why? What's
Hold on, Peter. I'm still trying to get the taste of irony out of my mouth.
Well, this time,
what were you going to say?
no, this time I really have beef with everyone in the room, and that is. And I wanted to talk to you about this, Speed, earlier because I watched your interaction with Rebekah, and I wanted to kick you in the ass when I saw that, and then it happened again just now.
What did I
You
do?
you need to stop using the word story. Because hold on. No, I'm being really serious now. Because the word story has a completely different meaning to a creationist than it does to you. And when you were talking to Rebekah and you guys used the word in that same context earlier, you said, yes, it is telling a story. It's not telling a story because to them, story is a fictional thing. It's an entire work of fiction. You shouldn't use the word story. You should use the word chain of events. That is what we're checking. We're not checking a story. We're checking a chain of events that leads to change in allele frequencies over time.
That's like a story to me.
Okay,
it's not a story. It's not a story because, as I said, to a creationist, a story is something people came up with. A story is something you find in a book. It is fiction. And that's where their mind will go.
But that's their problems, Peter.
If you want to convey some knowledge to people, it's not their problem. It's the problem of the person who wants to convey the knowledge. When you were reviewing the video of Sal and Rebekah, you could see that they picked up on the word story very well. It to them, it's all fiction. And you need to keep that in mind. If you want to get something across, you have to talk in their language, not in your language. Otherwise, you're going to be misinterpreted. And that is actually what happened. That's what we saw in the video with Sal and Rebekah.
Yeah, well, okay. But I don't know. I kind of like acquiescing a little bit and saying, okay, fine. We don't know exactly what the exact causal chain is, but we have good reason to believe that we have we could put together 100 different causal chains for you, and all of them are very likely.
But see, that is in the wording there is better.
Yeah.
And it's not that it is your fault. It pisses me off that every creationist you talk to is going to interpret the word story in their way. So it's going to be fiction. It's going to be not based on evidence or solid data. That's not what a story is to them. Yeah. That's why I think you should be cautious of what language you use if you want to convey the correct things.
Okay, you've known me for a while now. Have you ever known me to be cautious in using language?
No.
No.
You're an old senile guy with a YouTube channel. That's
well, I don't know. When I was 3 years old, my mother told me that she had a similar criticism, and I think she said, "I'm sorry, I taught you how to talk." So.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
But it's one of my pet peeves. It is seeing creationists use words in a different way just to discredit everything they're being told. Vesta Freya. agrees.
Yeah, what kills me about this, Peter, is that's all they have is a goddamn fairy tale that they're telling us.
It is, and here's the thing, and you can see that with the uses of the word story, but also the uses of the word religion. They want to drag you down to their level, so it's an equal playing field.
Yeah.
That is not the case. You see, Kent Hovind always says evolution is a religion. There's only one reason why he would do that, and that is because he knows that religions can be 100% wrong, and that's why he needs to drag science down to that level.
Where did I hear somebody talking about the definition of religion recently, Scott? Was that, oh God, where was that? It was some interesting stuff about what a religion is. I can't remember. It was on one of the channels that I thought you'd be watching, but I can't. Oh shit!
On Raw has talked about that several times. I don't know if you're currently watching the Lies in the Textbook series. I think he's mentioned it there in several episodes.
But I mean, a religion is like a certain practice. It has nothing to do with religion. Is not exactly belief. It's sort of a way of practicing something, right? It's like ritual.
Yeah, it's a practice of a community of people.
And doing rituals and stuff there are some rituals in Christianity, like particularly in the Catholic Church, I think, that are kind of beautiful and they sort of make you feel a certain way.
But belief is involved because the part of the religion is also worshiping a certain thing or a certain being.
Yeah. So Walker, I linked that in the description, that paper you just put up. Fundamental theorems of evolution. So
I mean, it's interesting. It's not directly relevant to like Sal's whole thing. It's just talking about how you can derive like a bunch of quote fundamental theorems from just using the price equation.
Yeah. So did you happen to hear him and Emery Moyna spend four or more, I think maybe 8 hours going over this paper by Welch 2017 called What's Wrong with Evolutionary Biology?
No, I definitely did not have 8 hours to spend listening to Sal and Emery Moyna.
Okay, the problem.
Didn't we speed? I think we've read that.
Yeah, we talked. No, we didn't go over the paper. We just talked about it a little bit.
Yeah,
but it was hard to listen to Sal and Emery because Emery kept doing that cackly laugh thing, and over and over again. Every time they'd read a line, they'd be, "Oh yeah, look what they said! Oh God!" And he would, they'd start cackling and laughing. But anyway, the whole fucking paper, the whole point of the paper was basically that he said, the article will argue for the possibility number two. Number two is something about evolutionary biology makes it prone to championing, I can't say that, of ideas that are new but
false. Turns out your mother didn't teach you how to speak.
No.
I'm sorry.
New or false or unimportant, or true and important, but already well studied under a different branding. So the whole point of this paper is that he was criticizing people that were criticizing evolutionary biology. And he was saying that it gets in the way, and he even mentions creationists down below. But they read this entire paper as being a damnation of evolutionary biology. And they missed the point so completely of this paper that I am left breathless. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just, how do they do this? They cherry picked one line after another and laughed about it and cackled about it. And then they cherry picked the title, making it look like this was he called it a scathing review of evolutionary biology. And it was a scathing review of all the infighting in evolutionary biology, where you have you have the ecologists and you have the population geneticists, all with a different research project, telling the others that, oh, you're doing it wrong, and anyway.
I'm assuming whoever published that paper is an evolutionary biologist. So
yes, yeah.
I doubt that person is trying to dismiss the entire field.
Right. No.
But obviously, I don't know what he specifically discussed. So,
Well,
remember the
he
name.
said such claims find an eager audience among those who reject the scientific consensus on other grounds. For example, Fodor and Piatelli Pellerini present a priori objections to their version of natural selection, but also include a fairly typical laundry list to add some empirical heft. So he was pushing back on that kind of thing, saying that there's an eager audience for anybody that criticizes, like anybody that criticizes anything in current science, right? There's an audience out there that just feels like, oh my God, put more syrup on my toast, you know? It's like, thank you, just keep talking to me, keep complaining, you know? And he mentions creation is down here somewhere too. I forget where. Let's see. I guess I didn't highlight it, but we're going to have to go over this damn paper. Oh, first, the claims misrepresent the field to the wider public. It is unfair to use guilt by association. Many fine studies are cited on creationist websites, but a field that urgently needs reform is a field in crisis. And when it fails to reform, this lends credibility. So anyway, I think he makes the case that we have a lot of that oftentimes we don't take criticism seriously or something like that. But anyway, so this whole paper has kind of been interesting. What's really interesting is how they can read the same paper I read and get an entirely different take from it. I don't know. It's interesting. But what else we got? How about that Germania? God, what an ass, eh?
Yeah, horrible.
Horrible person.
I hate him.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever talked to him actually, or been in the same room with him.
Oh, you ought to go. You ought to. Well, you wear a condom, but go on a stream one night and try to get a word in edgewise. It would be kind of cool.
It'd be a little weird if I was wearing a condom like in my room by myself.
Well, you'll understand when you go on a stream. Oh shit! I need plastic. I need something.
Yep. Go to the doctor the next day too, for sure. Get checked out.
Something in private chat for you. Anyway, there is I'm not going to say it.
Say what?
Nothing. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing about Gerst streams anymore. I've given him enough advertisement. The hell with him. He hasn't paid the fucking bill.
Like the title.
Yeah. Many moons pass. Still no down payment from Ger on the advertising. I don't know. Oh God, did I just do a nasty thing to Native Americans again? We had a lot of sayings when I was a kid. Oh, there was one more
the more
thing.
sayings you had as a kid.
What's that?
I said the older you get, the more sayings you had as a kid.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of a mathematical principle.
Yeah, well, you keep remembering. I got to play one more thing for you guys. One more thing before we leave this particular video. I forgot about it. Let's see here. Batting practice. Okay, there it is again. Let me see here.
What's up with you? You want to single out pseudoscience? Why don't you attack the idea?
There's a really bad echo.
Oh shit! Hang on a second. I forgot to switch back. Okay, sound check. Somebody say something.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. Okay, here we go.
What's up with you? You want to single out pseudoscience? Why don't you attack the idea that a human male can flip himself and make him a female? I better not. We might get the YouTube censors if I go too far down that path.
You got him.
Why are you attacking your Christian brothers on something like this? Do you hate creationism?
Wait, what did he say? My computer glitched glitched out.
You're promoting pseudoscience.
What's that?
He
Yeah,
said something about a human male.
Yeah, replay that again because it wasn't.
Yeah,
coming
sorry, my
through.
computer freaked
Turn
out.
it up a little bit too. if you
Okay,
could.
he's going after Swami Das. Okay, that's what this whole thing is about. I can't turn it up. It's not any high. It doesn't go any higher. Okay, try.
Oh, what's up with you? You want to single out pseudoscience? Why don't you attack the idea that a human male can flip himself and make him a female?
Oh.
I better not. We might get the YouTube censors if I go too far down that path. But I said, why are you attacking your Christian brothers on something like this? Do you hate creationism that much? And
Yeah.
instead, you're promoting pseudoscience of evolution, because I confronted him on several things. And like, dude, you can still believe it, but please don't represent it as science. It's garbage. And even James Tour called him out on one thing in abiogenesis. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's damaging Christians a lot.
And
And
wait, so Dannykins?
Swami Das is
Yeah.
older.
So
than
he's-
evolution. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think wasn't his point basically saying he was like calling out Swamidas for like supporting trans rights?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a little
that's-
gross. And if you want to talk about like what's damaging the faith more, you know, think about how many people that are younger. Think about how many people are leaving Christianity, and think about the reasons that they're leaving Christianity. And for a lot of them, it is just their unwillingness to budge on a lot of social issues like gay rights and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, you know, so if you actually want your religion to survive on past the next 100 years, you might want to move with the times a little bit, just from a like completely, you know, unbiased perspective on the position. Obviously, you know, I'm very in favor of trans rights and stuff. So in general, just kind of gross position, but
Yeah. This whole thing, that this fight they're having with McLean
Swamidas.
College, or McLean Bible, or McLean Bible Church, or whatever the hell
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
The whole fight they're having is over the fact that they've got a minister that is basically talking about Black Lives Matters. He's trying to lighten up on the whole, transgender gay community.
And the Lord said, thus police officers should have qualified immunity. Like, okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What a memorable Bible passage that was.
So has Swamidas actually said anything that's pro
Probably. I don't know.
LGBTQ?
Yeah, but he went after him for that, basically. And it's interesting that came to mind.
Because, Sal has directed a lot of venom towards Swamidas over at least the last year.
Oh, yeah,
And
really bad.
This is the first time I've heard about it being over LGBT issues.
Yep.
And so I just wonder if he
that's just always
jealous of the accomplishment and popularity of him.
It's always on the front of his mind. Emery Moyner's another one. So Emery Moyner did a video this morning, and he listed like 10 things in the beginning of his video. It was against some KCA or something, some other Christian, and he pretty much showed you what their platform is, which was, and it was pretty clear. So, but let's see. One other thing I wanted to show before we got off the air here. No, thank you. I don't want to sign up for anything. Goddamn people. Let's see here. Did you hear about this? I got this on the news yesterday. Florida school says vaccinated students must stay home for 30 days after each shot. Now they're talking about shedding. They were afraid that when you got vaccinated that you would shed the bad effects of the vaccine onto other students who weren't vaccinated. You fucking heard about this?
Not me. Not until you
I
told me.
saw it. I didn't care enough to read about it, but
Oh my God. But a private school in Miami requiring students who get vaccinated to stay home after each dose for 30 days. because of the potential impact on other students in our school community, vaccinated students will need to stay home. Let's see, healthy. After they're healthy and symptom-free after 30 days. And it also urged parents to hold off on getting their kids vaccinated until the summer, when it will be time for the potential transmission or shedding onto others to decrease. Here it is. What the hell do you think of that?
Is shedding a medical term?
Well, they talk about shedding the virus. When you get the fucking virus, you shed virus particles onto other people. They're talking about shedding the bad effects of the bad vaccine onto other people. What in the hell are these people smoking? What is going on?
I don't know.
Yeah. Encourage its teachers not to get vaccinated, saying those who did should maintain physical distance from students. I mean, this is a real school, man. What school is this? We need to get the name of this goddamn school. And they're not even telling us what the school is. Oh, here we go. Centner Academy. Okay, I don't know what that is. Have to look that up. Find out if I want to send my kids there.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Christian school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it is. I mean, what in the fuck? Like in Minnesota, the highest demographic right now is 8 to 18 are getting COVID, basically. And that's completely switched from what it was last year when it was people over 65. The lowest demographic right now is 65 plus, which makes me happy. I don't know, just pretty crazy shit. You never know. The vaccine cannot be inhaled via, the Pfizer's, but you can inhale the vaccine by shedding. They're not going to catch. Okay, they're worried that their kids are going to catch the fucking vaccine. Oh my God. These are real adults. These are adults that are in charge of children. This is the kind of shit we got going on in this country.
Don't Romat and Maddox also have kids?
Maddox, yeah, they do. I'm not sure about Matt, but Maddox does.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
Romat reproducing is something I just can't let myself do.
Ooh,
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah, you would have to do it upside down while hanging from the walls of the cave, as fruit bats do. Because I think he is a fruit bat. He kind of looks like a bat to me. I don't know why. I think it's because he needs a piece of beef. Coronavirus is killing schools and killing students and teachers. So anyway, the article goes on. I think did I link this article? I think I did, but I shall link it in my description. Oh, I wanted to mention beef. So I went to.
What's for dinner?
Did I talk about this already? I went to Costco the other day, and I looked at lobster tails, and they were $15 a pound. And then I went over and I looked at beef roast, like not good roast, crappy roast, and it was $15 a pound. And I said, "Fuck you, cow! I'm gonna eat lobster tonight." But I mean, like, seafood, shrimp and lobster and crab legs are about the same price as beef. I'm gonna eat shrimp and crab and lobster. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know where I grew up. Since we were so close to the coast, a lot of times it was even cheaper. But I also stopped eating beef, so
yeah. When I was staying in North Carolina, I had a contract out there, and man, I ate shrimp almost every night. It was so cheap. I couldn't believe how cheap it was. Like,
you can go. You can go to like this corner store, like shrimp bucket place, and they'll just give you like a whole ass bucket of fried shrimp for like $4, $5.
Yep. Yeah, I used to go to the grocery store and buy these big cartons of shrimp, raw shrimp, and take them home, cook them up, throw butter on. I think I'm going to go have some shrimp here pretty quick.
That sounds good. I unfortunately cannot. I'll probably have a sandwich.
Oh, a shrimp sandwich?
Probably turkey from Subway.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I'm still on campus, so I don't have access to like my food or my car.
Yep. I've been ordering Jimmy John gargantuan no witches. They wrap them in lettuce, so you don't have to eat the poisonous bread, because bread is poisonous. I don't know if you knew that.
Really?
It turns into sugar in your body.
Well, I mean, Jimmy John's bread is like 90% sugar already.
Right. But anyway, you can get a no witch gargantuan, and it's just like one big solid chunk of beef, or ham and shit with one tomato in the middle and a lettuce wrap. Very nummy. Pretty cool.
I don't know. I never really liked Jimmy John's no witches, but that's neither here nor there.
What I love about Jimmy John's is that they're at the door before you get off the phone.
It's fair. I don't order for places because it's expensive and I'm broke. But
Yeah.
usually I would pick it up.
Yep. They're pretty quick. They're freaky fast. Anyway, guys, shooter in the head. Peter, anything? Anybody?
I had my say. So
Okay, well, thank you for the criticism. I will try to be careful. I'll take heed. And
it's just something that has annoyed me for a long time.
oh, now I know how to annoy you, Peter.
Yeah.
My thing is, when you start getting into that whole storytelling thing, it becomes a semantic argument very fast.
Yep.
And it's just boring to me.
Yeah, I kind of like telling
I scared
stories.
Peter away.
Oh no!
No, something happened to his devices.
Yeah, he got disconnected.
Got disconnected.
Does that mean? Holland is he? The Dutch are in Holland, right?
Netherlands.
Netherlands. That's what Peter is. Yeah.
He sent
Holland
me
is part of the Netherlands, but yeah.
he sent me a wonderful article that explained that whole thing about Holland and the Netherlands and all that.
Yeah.
Because I was so confused.
Isn't Holland a specific province in the Netherlands or something?
I think so. Something like
Two specific provinces.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was so confused because I
Those are the ones that we're going to drown because of
Good.
global warming. So
Yep.
Get rid of them.
safe.
But
I'm
what
safe.
what I decided to do about the Dutch and Holland and the Netherlands, because I was confused, I just don't believe in them. So
It's like object permanence. I've never seen them, so they don't exist.
no,
I don't believe in
It's
Hollanders
just-
either.
It's just a story. It's just a
Yeah.
story.
But hold on. But what Netherlands are we talking about? Because I taught you there are two, right?
Oh, you did? Shit, I
There's
forgot
two
already.
Netherlands?
I forgot.
There's two Netherlands,
Is it Holland and like?
and the Netherlands is 4 countries.
Well, doesn't
12
never?
provinces.
It's
Okay,
gross.
doesn't never?
You see, I
mean-
prefer Belgium because it's just 2.
Belgium is an enclave of the Netherlands, among other things.
Okay,
some way.
There's a
doesn't-
piece. There's a piece
disagree.
of Belgium. There's a piece of Belgium, smack dab in the middle of the Netherlands,
but
which is
doesn't nether
funny. It has a
mean
border
never?
that goes straight across someone's front door. So
Oh, I think I've seen that before. Yeah.
Peter, doesn't nether mean kind of like never or non-existent or nether?
it means lower.
Oh, okay. Lower lands.
The lower lands, and that is
Lower.
because most of the Netherlands isn't even actually land; it's artificial land. We made it.
Don't worry about you guys too much longer.
We pretty much make our own
Yeah.
land.
If they can pull like land out of the sea, I'm pretty sure they're fine with climate change. They'll just do it again.
Yeah. I mean,
Fake Finland.
I'm just saying, if what was it, St. Louis? If that had been in the Netherlands, there wouldn't have been any flooding.
When did St. Louis flood?
With what was it with with Katrina?
No,
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
New
we-
Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, New Orleans.
I was about to say,
Okay.
I currently live in
Louis.
St. Louis, and I have not noticed any flooding.
And they don't have to
No,
worry
no,
about
yeah,
too many
no,
hurricanes
no,
in St. Louis.
New Orleans. That wouldn't have flooded during Katrina if
Yeah.
the Dutch had been in charge of
Right.
water management.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fun
Probably
fact
not.
is that they were asked to help out, and then the Republicans decided that the Americans could do it themselves, and well, we know what happened after that.
Yep.
Fair enough.
But I don't think we bashed the Netherlands quite enough on this channel. We're going to do more of that in the future, if you don't
Because
mind.
you can't. Because you can't.
Oh, come on, Peter.
One of our
Need a
goals for
flower.
one of our goals for 2022 is going to be to have the UN sanction us for our treatment of the Netherlands.
Well, anyway, tomorrow we can do.
You know what UN stands. You know what UN stands for, right?
United
Netherlands. Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think we're going to spend 2 hours just doing Gur streams bashing or Germania bashing.
I thought you said we weren't going to mention him again.
Oh shit! Did I say that? Did I never talk about him again? He just he broke my heart, man. He just broke my heart. Okay, guys, I think we're going to shoot it in the head for the day. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
So, goodbye, cruel world. We're out of here. Is this it?
Answers an atheist.